There is one reason why I don't bother stretching anymore, and I don't recommend that you should either. And I'm going to share it in the upcoming video along with what I think is a much better alternative, and I think you will get much better results from. So first off, I want to start off with giving you a little bit of a rundown on the anatomy of stretching and why it doesn't work. And so basically, in our muscles, we've got, at the end of these muscles, we've got these things called stretch receptors. And so a stretch receptor might theoretically kick in at 60 or 70% of the maximum stretch of your muscle fiber. And this is a protection mechanism built into our bodies to stop us from overstretching a muscle and tearing it. And so when you stretch, what you're actually doing is you're just delaying the onset of the stretch receptor in your muscle. So it might kick in, say, at 80% or 90% of your maximum stretch rather than at 60 or 70%. And so in the best case scenario, it gives you some temporary relief and you get a little bit more range of motion. Worst case scenario is you're actually making yourself closer to the cliff edge and more likely to tear a muscle because you don't have as big of a buffer zone before that muscle starts to tighten up. So, why does a muscle get tight in the first place? There's really only two reasons why it will get tight. One is because you're overusing it, and unless you're an elite athlete, that's probably not the case. The other one is because your brain tightens it up because it thinks it's going to injure yourself, so it starts to shorten that stretch reflex. And so that is basically, in a nutshell, the reason why I don't stretch anymore, and I don't think you should either. I did mention, however, I will give you some solutions, and so I want to go through what I actually do in terms of my mobility to make sure that I'm nice and flexible. So the way that I like to maintain my mobility is with a well-rounded strength and conditioning program where we're doing a nice mixture of hip hinges or deadlifts. We're also doing squats, so we're getting through that full range of motion through the hips. We're using the hamstrings to get through full range of motion with your deadlift. You've also got like a single leg deadlift or a single leg lunge, which obviously the lunge is a single leg. You've got single leg variations of like a squat pattern, which is a lunge. And then for upper body, we've got a vertical push, a vertical pull, a horizontal push, and a horizontal pull. And so if you're getting good, well-rounded strength program, you shouldn't actually get tired unless you're overloading the tissues and you're using some crappy technique, which in case you need to go off and get a good trainer, such as us, to teach you how to do the right technique, or also someone with a bit of experience to make sure you're loading at the right level and you're not overloading the tissues and compromising form. If I have already trained during the day and I just want a nice quick release, there are some little hacks you can do, and I want to teach you about reciprocal inhibition. So I feel like this is one of those things that not many people know of, but everyone should know of. And so basically reciprocal inhibition is another little hack inside our body, or another little trick inside our body, which means when we contract one muscle on one side of the joint, i.e. our biceps here, we have to relax our tricep so that we can allow that movement. And so once you know about reciprocal inhibition, if you get tight in a certain area, all you have to do is switch on or use muscles on the other side of the joint, and that will actually give you more long-term relief. The other benefit of this and strength training is that you are literally tearing the muscle fibers slightly, which is causing growth and development and good stress that you're able to recover from. And you're actually making more of these muscle fibers, which in turn is making your muscle longer and gives you more long-lasting results. So I want to run through a few specific examples for you so that you have some stuff to take away from here. One that springs to mind straight away is quads. So everyone gets tight quads. The quads, the agonist or the opposite muscle to them is your hamstring. So a really nice, simple way of doing this is just a nice hip hinge exercise. So you can go hands behind the back, you're going to have feet roughly hip width apart, and from there push the hands down, soften the knees slightly. Then we're just going to push the bum back and up, so we feel a nice stretch through our hamstrings. We're keeping our back nice and solid, and we'll come back up. And so you can just go through and do, you know, like a set of 10 or a couple sets of 10 of these. And this is an exercise I'll do at home. If I've had a big day, I've been walking around with the boys, I've been, you know, doing a lot of work around the garden, or, you know, bending over and doing the washing and not having great form with it. So that's a nice way of releasing off the quads. You should notice when you stand back up, the quads feel a little bit more relaxed and give you a bit of relief. The other big culprit is tight hip flexors. So if you feel like, yeah, you hip tight through the front of the hips, a foot elevated glute bridge is a really nice one. So hip flexors, the opposite of them is going to be your bum or your glutes. And so one that we like to give out for this would be a foot elevated hip thrust. So laying on the back, you're going to have knees roughly 90 degrees. Then from there, you can just lift up, down, and you can start to see, like, as I get into this position, I am actually stretching out the front of my hips, but I'm also using my glutes and my hamstrings a little bit in this exercise, which again is going to like lengthen the muscle and actually give you some more long-lasting results. So again, set of 10, couple sets of 10, just to sort of get those muscles fired up. And then you can go through and you can test it again to see that it's actually made a difference. And you can start to say, oh, I actually feel the relief, so the same if not more relief than if I had done stretching. But obviously I'm starting to use the muscles more on the other side of the joints. So not only am I increasing the amount of muscle fibres and making the muscle bigger, which gives us longer lasting results, it also helps improve your posture, which is a nice little bonus that I sort of left out till the end. It improves your posture as well, so that therefore, like, you have better postures moving throughout the day. You end up putting less stress and strain through your body, which in turn means less tightness as well. I hope you found it useful, and there's a couple little gems in there for you. If you like our content, don't forget to hit subscribe on the button below, where we'll keep updating information regularly. I look forward to seeing you next time. Obviously, if you have any questions or comments, pop them in the box below, and we'll get around to answering them.